Young Reporters Disclaimer. Before we get started, a quick note. The views and opinions you'll hear on the Young Reporters are just those of the producers, our guests, and our friends, and don't represent the policies or official views of the Orin Edson Entrepreneurship Plus Innovation Institute. And remember, the Young Reporters podcast is for entertainment purposes only.
Matchmaker Communications 101, in collaboration with Arizona State University's Edson Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute, presents The Young Reporters. The Young Reporters chase down ordinary people doing amazing things in the greater Phoenix community and beyond. These inner-city young journalists take their classroom on the air, a class about ethics, commitment, loyalty, and teamwork. When you're on The Young Reporters, be prepared to talk about things you never expected. And now, let's go into the classroom.
So reach for me like the petals of a rose bloom.
We are back in the classroom again. Bob Fishman here, along with a fabulous panel of co-hosts and guests. And I will do a brief go-around with that list of names, but then I have a couple pieces of business to take care of. In the studio today, we have Kim Reynolds, our wonderful senior program manager for the Arizona State University's Edson Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute. There we go. It's a lot of words to say. There's a lot of words to get in that introduction. Believe me, and to do it on a timer is a challenge. But so happy to have Kim here. Kim is our connection within ASU right now, and she is now officially a semi-official, to the extent that it's allowed, co-producer of the Young Reporters show. So I thank Kim for. This all came about because of Kim and Kelly Randall sitting to my right, who I used to know as Kelly Chic, but Kelly Randall and Kim have been friends for some time, since the days when they taught together, and Kelly was principal and Kim was one of the teachers, and they are dead loyal to each other, that's one of the qualities we talk about with the Young Reporters, building the teamwork, building the ethics and commitment. We hammer this like crazy, and you guys were a team long ago, which is amazing. Yep. And we are all about that. In order for us to encourage the world to see in a world that's getting more and more AI influenced, this teamwork and entrepreneurship it's all about that. And it's all about those connections until they abandon you. Still have trauma over that.
Oh, Kim, don't take us there.
This is a whole nother story in the show, but let me go. A couple other people here we got sitting in the studio. We got Sheila Harris, one of our kind of a combination co-host and guest today, and we get more about Sheila in a minute. I've got Allison Wolf sitting to my left, and we've got Greg Bender is sitting down right next to Alan Ripa. Alan is our sort of our technical expert here, and also our Kathy Dro's replacement, sense of humor. Mayor of as Kelly likes to say, mayor of the sidewalk, but Alan doesn't like that.
Mayor by name, mayor by fabulous reputation.
Mayor by royal decree.
But it's a walkway, not a sidewalk.
Exactly.
Because it goes by the nice riparian area.
That's my name, Ripa. That's short for riparian. Very good, Kimmers. Very good.
I'm going to do a double check here. I think we haven't included Chris Volchek in this thing, and Chris is like our backbone of this group in a way, because he provides everything that's missing. He brings it all. He brings his personality, and again, Chris is also kind of has a matchmaking history. I use that word matchmaking with intention. I want to ask you a question, Sheila, just to establish the show here. When I first met you, I think Alan was with me, I think Kathy Rose was with me. We met you down at the Human Services campus, and you were kind of like lurking in the background for a while.
Lurking.
Yeah, lurking in the background. And so I was.
I didn't say smirking.
No, lurking. And so I think I was having a meeting with Steve Davis, if I'm not mistaken, and he just at some point said, I want to bring somebody else in this meeting, and that was you. And then when I said, Sheila, come on the radio show with us, come on the radio show one day, and you said, okay, I think I will do that. And I said, but you got to bring a guest. And you instantly said, I think I know who I'm going to bring. Why was that? Why did you know right away? I remember why, but do you remember why?
Who else would I have picked?
Yeah, well, but why though? There's a word. Remember I said, I think I said that I'm a matchmaker,
Yes,
and then that triggered something in you.
I figured that Chris had the skills you were looking for to bring levity
Well,
and seriousness to this whole
but
discussion.
you also knew that his grandmother was a matchmaker, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe I did know that
Yeah,
from his.
you didn't want to say it though,
Okay,
right?
like a literal matchmaker, like matchmaker
Is
and
that-
matchmaker.
Is that true, Chris?
No, it was, no. Yes, no.
Yes, no.
I was in a Russian sort of enclave in Pennsylvania, and she was the unofficial matchmaker
there we go. There's the
for
story,
Russian
yeah.
Orthodox. So if you weren't Russian Orthodox, you couldn't match with her people.
There we
So
go.
yes.
So, but anyways, we were fortunate enough that Sheila decided to bring Chris Volchek in the studio, and ever since then, Chris has been a great friend, great supporter. Same with Sheila. So I think I've gotten our brief intro just to roll around here, but I want to say a couple things real fast. One of our 110% people that's in with us, Angie Holsworth, wanted to be here desperately today, but she's battling a little bit of maybe a minor case of shingles, maybe. But Angie is fabulous. She's part of our team. And she desperately wanted to be here, and she brings equipment with her. She brings everything she can bring, and she's going through just fighting through life like a lot of people are right now. And she's doing. I can't tell you how joyful it is to have her as a teammate. I also want to mention my wife Marsha, who's a fabulous supporter of me. One of my biggest critics as well, but who hates sometimes the word matchmaking because she thinks that means certain things. I said, no, it means that, yes, I can fix people up on dates, but basically I connect business people in the community. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point. And so, but the word matchmaker raises the question. People are always saying, oh, do you fix people up on dates too? And I say, yeah, I do that too, but it always raises the question.
Well,
You never fix me up.
Well, you said you're off limits for a
you're
while.
unfixable, Alan. Not unfixable up, but unfixable.
We're in the first show, first quarter, and you already got to hit me with the.
One of the other
A
comments I got
shot.
real quick is that I was going through my local Fry's grocery store a couple days ago, and one of my favorite, I think she's the manager of the checkout department, the automated checkout department, when in the hours she's there. And she walks up to me the other day and said, oh, Bob, I had a chance to listen to your show. I finally got a chance to listen to it because she was interested in what we do. And she says, oh, my God, I love the show, and I subscribed.
Oh,
She
wow.
subscribed. And I want to say to Charisse, she's going to be a guest on our show one of these days, and she is fabulous, and she is entrepreneurial, and she is innovative. And so the world is right up everybody fits into that. Greg Bender today, I'll get into easy introduction right now. Greg Bender is on this show today because Greg was a riot at Kelly's recent party.
The shenanigans party.
Shenanigans.
Yes,
Shenanigans.
shenanigans.
Yes,
Yeah,
Kim has
shenanigans.
added an extra N in there, so now
Yeah.
we have to redo our
Na-na-na-na.
shenanigans.
Phenomena.
We were having a nice sit down on the
Phenomena.
patio, and we got talking with Greg. And Greg is the epitome of somebody who's like spent part of a lifetime maybe working for other people, and all of a sudden realize, Greg, why don't you tell that part of the story, okay?
Yeah.
Let's get into those introductions.
This is Greg Bender.
So yeah, at the party, I mean, we were just sitting around talking about life, and I was asked what did I do. So I'm an RV repair tech by trade.
What was
That's
that
I
again?
do.
What kind of repair tech?
RV repair.
RV, a recreational vehicle, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And so, what led me to that is I just got tired of working for other people. It just wasn't working out, and so I sat back and thought about what I wanted to do, and that road led me to where I was. And so I love what I do.
And you specialize in certain aspects of that repair.
I do.
So name the things you specialize.
Mainly plumbing. I like to deal with septic tanks and plumbing and fresh water. I don't know, that's kind of weird. Who wants to deal with stuff?
You found your
Stuff.
niche. You found your niche.
But
right?
that is a niche, and I do enjoy it. So yeah, I learned to specialize with that and ACs and refrigerators, and the less you do, the more, if that makes sense.
So beyond that, Greg, one of the things that caught our attention, and we've got a lot more show, we can get much more in depth, but you also happen to represent something in Apache Junction where you're involved. Your big involvement is?
That is my full-time volunteer position.
Which is what?
Yeah.
And it is.
I am the president of the Apache Junction Elks Lodge. So it's a great organization. I love what we do in the community and for the community. We got some big things that we're working on that are coming soon. But yeah, if you've never been to an Elks organization or a club, stop in and check it out, because I'm telling you, from the outside, you can't tell what it's like until you get in there and you meet the people and their heart and their drive. And it's not work to me. It's fun. So
That's a mystery to me. I do not know anything about Elks. I've seen it for many years. What's its purpose? What does it do? What's its origin?
The main purpose is to create. We raise funds for youth, veterans, just about any 501c3 charity organization. And so, like I said, we got a big thing that we're planning right now, and that's going to benefit first responders, fire, medical, police, sheriffs, and then another group of individuals that we're looking to raise these monies for would be youth. So either one of the basketball programs or football programs throughout the AJ High School there.
So we'll get back into more of this in a minute. I want to bring related to that. We are about to get kids back in the studio. I have contacted some of my old parents, not my parents, but the parents of the kids I've taught, and there's a big interest in getting their kids back involved. So one of my wife's big criticisms is she said, "Bob, where's the kids? Where's the kids?" And I just keep telling her, they're coming. This doesn't happen overnight. It's amazing we're able to get this done with, and by this show, the adult version of the Young Reporters is mostly about making connections in the community. So we specialize in the matchmaking or the getting world changers in the community to get together and get to know each other. We are the old version of Young Reporters. Bob Fishman hosting this segment. We'll get reintroduced to everybody when we get back from this space. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the older version of the Young Reporters. I'm Kim Reynolds, coming to you from ASU Sky Song 1951 here in Scottsdale. And with me, I have Kelly Randall, Bob Fishman, Alan Ripa, Chris Volchek, Greg Bender, Sheila Harris, Allison Wolf. And we were just talking about matchmaking and why Bob calls this matchmaking. And then we were talking to Greg about the works that he does with the Elks. So Bob, when you and I first talked about this, matchmaking also hit me a little bit weird, but you explained networking is always about what I can get, and matchmaking is about what we can do to support each other and support the community. So, Greg, have you heard of Invention Convention Arizona?
Good job, Kim.
No, I haven't.
So it's actually a program that we run here at ASU, and it is for K-12 youth, and it's teaching them invention education. So they're learning how to be inventors, even little kindergartners. It's so amazing to see kindergartners. They identify challenges in their community that they want to solve. They come up with an idea, they prototype it, they test it, they actually make it an invention, and then it leads to competitions. So we have regional competitions, a state competition, and then some of our top inventors from Arizona get the opportunity to go to nationals.
Oh, wow.
And this is where my ask comes in. So you said you do fundraising. So to send a inventor to the National Convention in Dearborn, Michigan at the Henry Ford Museum of American Innovation, which is totally cool by itself, it's about $2,500 because we send a youth and their parent. So maybe over the next year, because the Invention Convention always happens the first week of June, I think we should talk about how we could do a fundraiser to help at least fund one of those Arizona inventors to get to go to nationals.
That is what we do, and I don't see us having a problem with helping that out. I mean, we'll get together and do some planning for sure.
Yay!
Kelly, you went to this event back in a month or two ago, right?
In June, yes. It was up in Dearborn, Michigan, which is my hometown where I was born and raised. So when I was in Dearborn, I was visiting my parents, but totally coordinated it with Kim's national finals at the Henry Ford Museum, which, if you've never been there, is just one of the most amazing places. And so all of the inventors that made it to nationals were presenting their inventions, and I have to tell you, it was It literally is mind-blowing. These kids and what Kim does with these kids and their inventions, it's something you've got to see. It is truly, truly amazing.
I want to ask you about what you do, but I also want to say that what this Edson Institute, what they're doing, is so unique in my experience. I was 2 years with AmeriCorps, traveling around various nonprofits in the Phoenix community, and nonprofits are good and they're always well-intended and all that, but there's so much feeding of fish to people, and there's so little of teaching people how to fish. And so part of this studio today, part of the people in the studio today are people who really are experts at sort of the teaching people how to fish part of it, and are part of organization, ASU Edson Institute being one, that goes deep in and around and supportive of anything and everything that has to do with creating entrepreneurs. And so I'm so impressed with what they do, and that's one of the reasons why we have this group in the studio today, because these are world changers sitting in the studio, and we are going to get to more of that. Kelly, briefly, with part of your world change, aside from being a principal, you are also Hollywood involved, correct? Describe that a little bit.
Well, yes, I was a principal for 15 years, and then COVID hit, and the world changed, and
she abandoned me.
So, yeah, Kim will
We have
never
abandonment issues in the studio.
Kim has abandonment issues. Yes, so I moved. I got married to my husband, Travis, and he owns Full Staging Production Services.
Full Staging Production? Was that what it's called?
Full Staging Production Services. And what his company and our company does is we provide labor for big live events in California. So,
including what? Some of the events.
So one of our biggest contracts is Walt Disney. So we do all the Walt Disney red carpet premieres, all their movies. We do other large events like, my husband does Coachella. He's the production manager. My end of the job is I provide the labor for these events, any concerts at Honda Center and anything big. And although I live in Arizona, all of our employees do live in LA, and we just fly out for the big shows. But yes, it's been a very easy transition going from students at at-risk high school to stagehands is basically what our employees. They have a very similar mentality, so it was a very smooth transition. No problem.
Let me get Sheila Harris involved here for a second. Sheila's got, aside from being just a lurking in the background when I first met her, which you're very good at lurking in the background. She doesn't go for big visibility, big credit. She's very humble. She's just a really nice person, and she always shows up when you need her to show up, which is great. Sheila's got this background. I had to write some stuff down because it's impossible to remember all this stuff, but she was the founding director for the Arizona Housing and Finance Authority. Is that right? Did I get that right? Pretty close?
Department of Housing, Arizona Department of Housing and the Arizona Finance Authority.
How did that come about, by the way? How did you get on the radar to become that person?
I had been doing a lot of work in housing, and I had a PhD in how nonprofits create affordable housing and looked at several communities throughout the United States, brought those back, created some nonprofits, and then it was back in the day, which I'm not sure we'll ever see again, that the legislature actually worked together because I was a Democrat and I was appointed by a Republican governor, Jane Hall.
Jane Hall? Okay.
Yeah. And then stayed on with Janet Napolitano about 5 more years. It was a series of events that I had not charted out. For one thing, we didn't have a housing department in the state of Arizona until 2002. We were the 49th state to create one. So it's not surprising that we're where we are today.
And so you got, somehow that led up to becoming very involved in the downtown homeless campus or the human services campus, or how did that come about?
That was something that I obviously knew about, funded as a director to help build it. That's where I met Dr. Volchek.
The dentist, the Brighter Way Foundation?
The Brighter Way, yeah. who was
Institute,
just this crazy guy who was out on the streets.
as homeless as anybody, basically, right?
Basically, it was hard to tell between Chris and some of our clients. Not on a daily basis, just now and then.
All right, and so just to speed up Sheila's resume, which goes on, I know in 2019 Lambda Alpha gave you a big honor, but I'll save that for you to talk about that. But basically, somewhere in that early 2000s, late 90s, Alan Greenspan got in touch with Sheila Harris to appoint her to the San Francisco Federal Reserve as the first person from Arizona to ever do that. And so somehow or other, your radar just went through the roof. And so, of course, while she was serving on the Fed in San Francisco, that was the era where they hired Janet Yellen to become their board president, I guess. Is that right? And of course, Janet Yellen only ended up being eventually Treasury Secretary and head of the Fed or whatever. So that's Sheila's background. Sheila's good friends with Andrea Mitchell, for example, which is NBC News from years and years. And so, but what's it like to get a phone call from Alan Greenspan?
It's not something that happens every day. It was a situation in which the San Francisco Federal Reserve, I have to give them a lot of credit, they really looked for diversity in their board members and probably have led the way in doing that. It's very regimented, being the Fed. There's 3 classes of directors. I happen to be Class C. Class C, you might think is not the best class, but it is the best class because only they can be president or vice president of
And you
the
did
board.
become vice president or vice chair?
President. Yes, vice president.
Okay.
So it's a situation in which I'm talking to people that have no idea what it's like to be homeless, and they're telling me about flying into the Fed meeting on their private jet because of the CEO of Albertsons. So it's a very diverse group of people, and it's an extraordinary opportunity. If you ever get asked, please take my advice, do it, because you get to meet all kinds of people from all over the place.
So when you're getting that phone, was that out of the blue? Were you warned that you're going to get a phone call? How did that happen?
Well, I was interviewed by the president of the San Francisco Fed, and they interviewed, I don't know how many people they interviewed, and they sent forth their recommendations, and I was selected.
You were primarily, they were interested in you because of your expertise in housing, is that right? That was
Yes.
primarily it? Yeah.
Yes.
And so Sheila's amazing. She has gotten things done in this community behind the scenes. Other people get credit for it, but Sheila is the driving force behind a lot of this stuff. And I'm really big on the humble people, not always looking for the camera. I love the people who just do the hard work and do whatever is necessary. And Sheila, you are a world changer. I'm so proud to have you on the show again.
And you know, Bob, what's really interesting is we talk about the weird connections that show up. When Kelly and I were in the classroom, our school was actually one of the first schools in the state of Arizona to require personal finance as a graduation requirement. And one of the things that we did is we worked with the Federal Reserve. They provide all kinds of free resources for schools around economics and money and everything. And it was always funny because I would always ask my students, one of the questions when we would start going into our Federal Reserve stuff, it's like, where is the most cash in Arizona? And they're all like, Paradise Valley, Scottsdale, blah, blah, blah.
They knew
like,
this?
Well, no, I'm like, it's in Maryville. They're like, no, it's not. And I'm like, well, actually it is, and we're going to go take a tour. And my students would get to go and do an activity because we don't have a Federal Reserve Bank, but we do have a satellite location here in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And prior to COVID, I don't know what they're doing now, but the students could come in, they would do an activity with them around jobs and careers and personal finance, and then they got to see like the sorting of the money, and they could look into the vault where you could see Bonnie and Clyde, which are the little robots. And so my kids got to see at one point, I think they saw like $16 million in cash looking through the door. And
just like that.
Just the neatest experience. And these were all of our kids from Kelly and I's school.
This is great. This is part of the stories we want to get to. And the rest of the show, we got 2 more segments coming up. We're going to get to Allison Wolf with an introduction to start the next segment and more coverage of other people in the studio. Stay with us. We are the older version of the Young Reporters. We just had Phil Kim join us in the studio. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the older version of the Young Reporters. I'm Kim Riddles in the studio with Kelly Randall, Bob Fishman, Alan Ripa, Dr. Chris Volchek, Greg Bender, Dr. Sheila Harris, Allison Wolf, and Phil Kim. So we wrapped up the last segment hearing amazing things from Dr. Harris about the Federal Reserve and the work that she did with that, and we talked a little bit about education. So that actually leads into our next guest, Allison, who actually works for ASU and the College of Global Futures with the Sustainable Teachers Academy. So Allison, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. If you thought Kim's intro was long in terms of title,
it's a long title.
Buckle in. So, my name is Allison Wolf. I work for the Sustainability Teachers Academy on the lifelong learning team within the College of Global Futures at Arizona State University.
What does that all mean?
Yeah, exactly. So Sustainability Teachers Academy, we focus on sustainability-based professional development for K through 12 educators. We focus on training. We train teachers on how to bring sustainability into the classroom. I'm on the lifelong learning team, which means that there is a bigger group of us. I'm on the teacher side, but then there's also an executive education side, focuses on sustainability-based professional development for businesses. The next level up is College of Global Futures. So we're housed within the College of Global Futures, which, because ASU is number one in innovation, we...
For the 10th year in a row.
For the 10th year in a row.
Did everybody hear that? ASU University, Arizona State University, is number one in the country on innovation. That means ahead of Stanford, ahead of MIT, you name it, ahead of Harvard, you name the list, number one for like 10 years running. And think about this. So that's Arizona State University in general. Think about that the Edson Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute, which has the words entrepreneurship and innovation in the title. I think that's a significant part of why ASU is number one in innovation. That's pretty impressive.
And Alan, I don't think they have anything on you and I. We are the first mobile podcast, in Arizona?
We are.
Yeah, so I'm just going to give us a toot our horn there. Good job, Alan.
But the work that Allison and the Global Futures School does has a lot to do with those innovation awards, too. So back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were the first school of sustainability in the nation. I don't know if you know that about ASU, but now we are not just the School of Sustainability, we are the College of Global Futures. So one of those is the School of Sustainability.
So what's the global future mean? What does that mean exactly?
So it's actually really cool. So one of the things, we have like 5 schools now. One of the schools is School of Sustainability. It's exactly what it sounds like. And then there are 4 other ones ranging from the College of Ocean Futures to our newest one, which is the School for Conservation Futures, and we have Complex Adaptive Systems and the School for the Future of Innovation in Society.
So if somebody gets out of that, those are departments in the school?
Those are schools within the college.
And so
confusing.
So people come out with degrees in that, for
Yeah,
example? And
yeah.
what do they do with that then? What do they end up doing?
Everything and anything. So there are some like really straightforward ones where it's like, if you get a degree from the School of Ocean Futures, you're probably working in marine biology or something similar. And then there are some that are a little bit more vague. So there's the School for the Future of Innovation in Society, and what do you do with a degree in innovation? And the answer is anything and everything, right? So
AI.
yeah, AI, and honestly, a lot of business and a lot of thinking about how do you innovate in sustainability in business and other areas where, sustainability is this big, broad concept. I look at sustainability as a lens through which you see what you're doing as opposed to its own separate discipline.
So your title is Senior Program Coordinator, and I'm going to get this right, for the Sustainability Teachers Academy at ASU. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's the short one.
Okay, so what does that mean to be the Senior Program Coordinator of this thing?
I coordinate programs.
Oh, thank you for the explanation.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, so I wear a lot of different hats. That's everything.
Can you imagine her business card? Is it like
3x5
card? Get that whole title.
Yeah, I wanted to give you the whole title. Usually I just say for the Sustainability Teachers Academy because, like, who has time, right? But Yeah,
You're coordinating a lot of things. Is that right? You're coordinating lots of things?
Yeah. So we do we have 3 separate kind of main programs. One of them is an online professional development course for teachers, online, asynchronous, free, that just takes them through sustainability basics. So that's kind of our one pocket. Our next pocket is learning labs. So we work with businesses and organizations and schools in order to bring sustainability
So
into
you're
the classroom.
coordinating between different communities then, is
Yeah,
that right?
I'm coordinating.
This ties in really well with this gentleman sitting next to you, Chris Volchek. Chris is the picture of someone who understands, having worked in a profession, just like Greg, worked in something and all of a sudden realizing it's not matching up to what he really wants to do. And Chris became entrepreneurial, not that he wasn't always, but he became very entrepreneurial in his approach to dentistry. Chris, you want to talk a little bit about what you did when you decided Dr. Chris Volchek was not necessarily... The image that Chris came into dentistry with was his family dentistry when he was a kid, his family doctor who loved to smoke cigarettes, drop ashes, and drink
Drop
scotch.
acid.
Drop ashes, not acid. Drop ashes and drink whiskey as he's doing your dental work. That's your
All
motivation to be a
comments
dentist,
belong
right, Chris?
to the participants.
Yeah, so tell that story briefly, Chris, okay?
Wait, I told that story
I
last
know,
time.
it's a great story.
It is a great story.
Guest in the studio.
So I'll go.
The
Chris,
brief
why
version.
did you become a dentist? You take it from there.
The brief version, or where you took it to, okay?
Okay, I'll say it again. No. Why I became a dentist? I had a veterinarian like everybody. I had a physician and I had a dentist, and my dentist connected with me, and he supported me and he mentored me. And it's the guy that had, back then we didn't wear gloves. He smoked while he was doing it, and his stinky yellow fingers, and he had a scotch on the table. And so how could any of this big shock of hair, and he was really dynamic, so I wanted to be him.
I love it.
So, but then I became a dentist. I don't like working with my hands. I'm not that good. I was just mediocre. And if you're not passionate and you're not good at it, why are you doing it? And so when I got into dentistry, I didn't like it at all. So it was a big waste in the beginning. And I thought I was a loser. And then, of course you do. You go to all that education. You think you're a loser. So what happened is I practiced for 10 years, so I didn't want to be the biggest loser. But then I got my MBA, and I met Mary Orton at my MBA graduation, and she told me to come down and work with the homeless and volunteer. I volunteered for a little bit. I love the homeless. That's exactly where I was meant to be on earth. I sold my practice, and I worked on the streets for 10 years as a case manager, and that's when I met Sheila, and then I opened a dental clinic.
Chris.
So it all worked out.
And the great thing about it all works out. He's no longer a loser, I guess, is that right? And so the thing is that Chris saw that the opening was Arizona had some unique regulations, or lack of maybe, that allowed Chris to get dentists from all around the country to be part of his program, but he took it further. He took it entrepreneurial, in which he went out to all the big dental companies in the country and said, here's an opportunity for you to get your equipment in the hands of future dentists and get them to use the best equipment. And he did this all while gaining foundation support from big people in this community. And this is all entrepreneurial on steroids, what you did. It's amazing that you got all these big dental companies to give you your big little beautiful clinic down at the homeless campus, to give you the best equipment. You go in that place and it's beautiful, and you got all these people to get benefit from helping the community out. These big dental companies know that they're going to make money off of what they do.
So what happens, because there's not many dental clinics around the nation for homeless, because there's no compensation. So if there had been, I probably wouldn't. I was forced out of fear to be innovative, but there was no way to fund the program. So fear works, anxiety works. And so I had to.
I don't know, Chris, I'm so worried now. I'm calling 911. I think we need intervention. I'm really worried about you.
Hey, he's getting over the loser part, so give him a break, okay? So keep going, Chris. What you said?
No, so there's no compensation for dental for the homeless, which is absurd to me. But so you're forced to be, and you're forced to be innovative to support it.
But you weren't just homeless. You were veterans. You were kids too, right? You were everything, right?
I wanted to be homeless.
But I mean, the people you work, the people you help, it's not just the homeless population. It's veterans type people who've been in the military. It's pediatric kids that you work with as well in different parts of what you do, right?
Exactly. Homeless, refugees, gay homeless youth, veterans, homeless veterans, domestic violence victims. Sorry about that. All of that is encompassed. All of that is encompassed. But because none of that is funded well, you have to come up with innovative models to subsidize all that care.
And sustainable.
Now let me bring this to our last guest. We only have about a minute to get Phil Kim introduced. I think we've gotten everybody else sort of introduced. Phil comes in as the man with no company, in effect. I love Phil. He's a great guy. But I was going to play the theme song from A Fistful of Dollars, but I couldn't find it yet. So Phil's coming in. Describe what you do in general, Phil, because I know you don't want to name your company. We got about 30 seconds for you to do that.
And then we can continue after the break. So I'm in wealth management, and because of strict compliance regulations, unless I have prior approval, I can't name specifically the name of my firm, because otherwise it would be perceived as advertisement.
So can other people name your firm?
No, you cannot, Chris.
We got to go to break. We got to go to break right now. We'll be back real quick after this short break. And amazing stuff's coming in what's going to be our last segment, I guess, for this show. We'll be right back.
Good to see you, Phil.
We are back with the older version of the Young Reporters. I'm Bob Fishman, along with a wonderful gathering in the room. We've got Kim Reynolds, Kelly Randall, Alan Ripa, who we got to give Alan a little more credit and time on this show, but we'll get to that. Dr. Chris Volchek, Dr. Sheila Harris, Greg Bender, Allison Wolf, and now we're going to get back to Phil Kim from it. Phil, I know you had some big meetings to go to today. You're on a number of boards of directors in town. It seems like you're getting highly visible. But your main business is the financial advising, and because of regulations, you can't say specifically for who. But Phil, I'll just put it this way: Phil is working with one of the powerhouse companies in the country, and Phil has a sub company within that company that he manages himself, basically. And Phil has also become this. He is like a matchmaker supreme in his own right. And if it wasn't for Phil, I wouldn't have met Kelly. Phil met Charlotte Barnett at some education thing many years ago, and Charlotte, when I had a meeting with Charlotte, says, I want you to speak to Kelly to talk about your program, and then Kelly eventually led us to getting involved with Arizona State's Edson Institute, thanks to Kim Reynolds. All these things are just one link to another, and Phil, you're a major player in all that. So you don't even have to say a word, and one of the reasons this is all happening today is thanks to you. So you are... One of the things you're specializing in is like Asian Pacific kids or people in the community that you're connecting up, and I hate the matchmaking organization, whatever you want to call it. Describe some of that stuff.
Yeah, so I guess I'll preface with this. So my day job is in wealth management. So I've been in this career now for 23 years. And I once heard somebody make a comment that I think applies to me directly, and that your for-profit must work before your nonprofit can work. And so I've been very, very fortunate in my career to build a firm that is very profitable. And through that, I've created a lot of time for myself to pursue things that I'm passionate about.
And you've developed a team of 18 people or something
18,
like that?
We have
help
offices
support you on this, right?
That's right.
You build in some flex time for yourself within that, I'm sure.
That's right. Yeah. So I have time for my family. I have 2 kids. One's going off to college. One's in high school. But beyond that, civic duty is also very important to me, and I think that's part of my upbringing. So currently, this is just my current iteration, I'm the chairman-elect of the board of directors for the Herberg Theater. I'm on the board of directors for the Phoenix Symphony Orchestra. I'm the vice chair of the Asian Corporate Entrepreneur Leadership Organization, and I'm an ambassador for TGen, which is a genomic research company in town.
That's teaching. Boy,
Is
that's
that all?
That's on Tuesdays.
So you wrote.
What do you do the rest of the week?
I read something you wrote. I don't do much computers. Everybody knows here. I think. So I don't do much email, Gmail, whatever. But Phil put something out recently talking about the bamboo ceiling. I thought that was really interesting. So what describe that briefly? What you said it really well in the newsletter. Your background was many years ago. You're back from the East Coast. You went to Cornell. You were in the hospitality industry before you did any of this stuff. But you're talking about the bamboo ceiling. I want to hear a little bit about how you see that.
Sure. So my parents immigrated from Korea back in the early 70s, and they raised 3 kids. I'm the middle of 3. And we were raised in a very traditional Asian setting. I grew up in Maryland. And so I don't know if you can tell from my last name, but I'm Korean, and so there's a stigma associated with the way that we are raised. My generation is raised, and there's a lot of truth and veracity to it. But the challenge that my generation, people who are whose parents immigrate here to the U.S., the way that we're raised is to give it your all and to excel as much as you can in any discipline that you're focusing on, whether it's academics or music or sports. But when you reach a certain level, much like the glass ceiling in the corporate world that women encounter and minorities encounter, the Asian population encounters something that we call the bamboo ceiling, which is the same thing as a glass ceiling. But the difference with the bamboo ceiling is it is self-imposed, and it's a product of our own self-sabotage. And this is something that I personally went through in my life when I was skyrocketing up in different channels in my industry, and I would get in my own way oftentimes. And it wasn't until really right around post-COVID that I realized, just through some self-reflection, that I was self-sabotaging myself in many ways in my career. And I'm happy to say...
How did you give me an example of when you say self-sabotage? What would you do to stop?
Sure. So back in the mid-teens, I was offered a position, a corporate position, which would have been pretty high up there. And I declined it. And everybody who championed me and endorsed me were like, "What are you doing, Phil? Why'd you decline this position?" And I made up some nonsensical excuse. And so it wasn't until a few years later that I realized that I thought I was inadequate and I thought I was not yet ready, when everybody around me thought I was ready for it. And that's just a microcosm of the macrocosm that persists throughout the Asian population that were brought up through the same way I was.
But if you'd taken that position, you probably wouldn't have the freedom and flexibility you have now.
True.
Right?
So there's a silver lining to how this all played out. But the reality is I'm just one of many. And so there's many of my brothers and sisters out there that encounter these same circumstances, and they purposefully self-deprecate themselves and get in their own way.
What's the name of the Asian Pacific group you're involved with?
ACEL, ACEL, the Asian Corporate and Entrepreneur Leadership Organization.
And do you find that a common experience for people in the group?
For sure, yeah. So I gave a talk on this at a recent conference, and the whole audience, heads are just nodding as I'm telling this story.
Allison, I'm curious as to, when you're hearing all this stuff around the table, what registers with you in terms of your global perspective that you're... Go for anything on that.
From a global perspective, well, first of all, thanks for sharing your story. I really appreciate hearing about that. I'd never heard of the expression bamboo ceiling before, and I thought that's really interesting. And I would love to know more and just understand more from your perspective. But I, in general, think that this is an amazing place to be and interesting to hear all of your stories, because from a global perspective, this is really like what it is all about, right? We're all coming together from different perspectives and different viewpoints and talking about how things mesh together or just shared experiences. And from those shared experiences, you can build a lot of community and relationships, and then from there start making change in the world. And when we talk about College of Global Futures, or just global futures in general, we're talking about building shared relationships and shared stakeholder groups that we can then use to start making the world a more sustainable place.
So one other thing I've on my hit list basically is that this model that we're doing with the adult version of Young Reporters and with the kids themselves when we get them back in the studio was basically getting them hosting a show sort of at the Meet the Press level, but done by kids. We're not doing a kids show, but we're doing a kids show aimed at adults, very serious show, getting them off their devices getting them into conversation with each other and with adults, and getting them used to that, and they love it. I love one of the lines that Andrea, one of our cute little kids from Sage School, she says, what's fun about this, she says, you don't have to just play with kids, you can play with adults too. That's the way she said it. I love those lines like that. But so it's just like, I envision, Sheila, and forgive the names on this, I envision the homeless reporters, I envision the sexually abused reporters, I envision all these shows basically aimed at groups that are hurting for self-esteem or that need a little bit of a leg up in society. Put them in a format like this, get them in front of the community, and what Chris and Sheila do is that they kind of get people who are in a without a home situation and get their teeth right so they can go out for job interviews, get them where they can actually have a housing first is one of the expressions I've heard so many times from you, Sheila, but getting them some basic things going so that they can go out and get a job, so they can, instead of being fed a fish, they learn how to fish themselves, and that's what we can do through this. That's what ASU on Edson Entrepreneurship is all about, that type of thing. You guys are training for how do you survive in an AI world. I love what you're doing. Alan Ripa, speaking of all this, what you've done with your magic walkway, you're the cult of Alan Ripa at the McCormick Ranch walkway.
Mayor of McCormick.
Mayor by name, fabulous mayor by reputation.
Oh, wait, and we can't forget a 12-time Emmy Award winner, an Oscar winner, and the Nobel Peace Prize in music.
The Nobel Peace Prize in music. Wow. Alan, that's pretty big news.
You know, it's amazing. I keep, every show I become more. This is such a fabulous concept. It was just
more waiting to be discovered.
It's amazing, yes. Thank you for looking my way.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
Nobody
Alan.
puts Alan in the corner.
You deserve a look every once in a while, you know?
No, I just wanted to make a comment about what Phil said. You weren't born at the time in the 80s, but you were? Well, we got a call from the Phoenix Symphony, and so I was recording at a studio called Chaton, and it was owned by the Ravenscroft. Marie Ravenscroft was real big at the Phoenix Symphony.
Wait, related to the Ravenscroft who used to do all the recordings for Disney?
Well, Bob Ravenscroft was my piano teacher, and his brother Ed had the studio, Chaton.
Okay.
And they also had a mobile unit called the Cat. It was a bus. But anyway, we got a call on a Wednesday night from the Phoenix Symphony that they were going bankrupt, and they needed a PSA done ASAP. And so me and another writer, this is a Wednesday night, got together. We worked day and night. Friday morning, we were down at Symphony Hall, and the Cat had just come up from Tucson to record this session. The conductor at the time was Teos. I don't know if you remember him, but he wouldn't let me on the stage. And so Marie went on the stage, and we were hooked up outside on a Unicom, because I had to give him a click count so the orchestra would play at the tempo, because it had to be 29 seconds. So I had to give her the count. She gave the conductor the count, and they recorded the spot. They gave us 3 takes. Interesting enough, they put the commercial out, and they got the funds. They got the notice, so they were able to be saved. Just wanted to say real quick, I was on that Cat, and it was up from 3 days in Tucson. It was down at Paul McCartney's ranch. And so when I came in on the VU meters, it had Paul's voice and Paul's guitar. And I said to the engineer, I said, oh, wow, we can't use those tracks. And then did Paul come in here? And he said, yeah, he was leaning on the refrigerator just like you are. And the goosebumps went, it was amazing. But anyway, we were a little part of saving that because they were going bankrupt. They had ran out of funds or something, but that PSA got out immediately and apparently got the attention of everybody, and we were able to save the symphony. Just a little side note.
What year was that?
1932. I don't think.
So you're right. I was not born at that time.
And Alan, you look really good for your age.
Yeah, really. So what is it?
Well, it's because I walk on the sidewalk, Kelly.
Oh, that's right.
What is-
and with your followers.
Yes.
How many followers?
Over 150.
Follow him
And
around.
that Phoenix Symphony, was that your first or 8th Emmy?
That was the 9th. And that was like the Global Awards.
Global type
Before or after
ties in
the
with
Nobel?
Global Forum. Or
Yeah.
something. So, Greg,
Yes, I don't like to, push my background like
no,
that.
never. I want to get a quick opinion from Greg Bender. Greg, having sat through show number 1 here, we have a very short time. Maybe we'll save this for a comment to start show number 2. What's your quick impression of the gathering?
Oh man, this group has strength, and we all have something in common. I've never met anyone in this room, no, besides Kelly and yourself at the shenanigans party. But no, this is a great group. There's lots of potential here to make a difference in the community.
We have potential?
We do.
Oh,
You do.
Wow, that's great.
That's what Alan's third grade
Some
teacher
of
told me.
us have
I'm not
potential.
hearing any music cues, Alan, but this is the older version of the Young Reporters. Oh, there I hear my music cue. Finally. That's not the right song, but we'll use it anyway. But that's all right. We can use it. It's okay, because we are a spontaneous show.
Wait.
And we have a lot of fun, and we're going to end it right now and say, stick with it. You want
Listen, I stayed up till after midnight to get that song in here.
Then let's do it then. Let's do it the way you want to do it then.
This is the 4th segment. It went by so quick.
I know. This is the end of 4 segments of so.
Isn't it amazing, Kim Ers?
So let's go with the real closed music. Can we do that, or do we have to end right now?
No.
Oh, here we go. Now we have our real closed music. Thank
This
you
is
so
it.
much that Alan spent all. By the way, Alan has spent a lot of late nights lately. Kimber, I apologize. Kimmers, I apologize.
Coming from Edson.
We have show 2, 3, 4, 5. This is show 6, I believe, and we'll have show 7 soon.